Hello, welcome to the Entrepreneur Success Stories, a podcast where we delve into the heart of the success in the business world. I'm your host, Atena Pegler, the CEO of the Risk-Free Marketing, an agency specialized in AI for marketing and branding. And each week we explore the inspiring stories of the successful entrepreneurs who have made their mark, from innovative marketing strategy to the art of scaling and the power of branding, technology. We uncover the insights and lessons that have propelled this individual to the top of their field. Whether you are starting out or looking to take your business to the next level, our conversations are tailored to provide you with the knowledge and motivation to succeed. Today, we are thrilled to have with us the remarkable young entrepreneur Atena from Atena Property, who is a buyer agent at the age of only 24 and has refined success in the real estate market. So tune in as we unveil the journey of our guest and discover the secrets behind her incredible achievement in marketing, scaling, and branding. Let's dive in and get us inspired. Hi, Atena.
Hello, how are you?
Good, thank you. How are you?
I'm excellent.
Thank you for being our guest today. So at the age of only 24, so you achieved so much success as a buyer agent. Could you please share your journey with everyone and what motivates you to enter into this field at a very young age?
So it was actually something which was completely random, but it happened very naturally. So originally I wanted to be a professional singer. So, ever since I was young, that was always my dream to do that. Obviously, to be a singer full time, especially in Sydney, it's incredibly challenging. I didn't want to live paycheck to paycheck. So when I finished school, I got a job at a finance company. It was just like a personal loan company, just as finance admin, because at that time I thought it would look very good on my CV. And then after 6 months, I just had enough there. And then after that, I thought, okay, well, I really want to buy a property. I had enough savings at that point to do so. I knew nothing about property at that time. So for some reason, my thought process was, oh, why don't I get a job at a bank? That way, I can learn a bit about property, I might save a bit more and just learn a lot more in the process. So long story short, I managed to get an entry-level job into a major bank in a contact center. And then from there, I just worked myself up. I went through broker variations, small business banking, business bank, private wealth, medical specialist. So I did a lot of different types of lending across different types of departments. So what was the real game changer for me was when I first got into business banking. So when I started a small business, where you're talking to accountants, you are talking to solicitors, financial planners, and other investors every single day. So I was learning so much about property. I was learning so much about different types of entities, what are the tax benefits. And then I just took all that knowledge and used that for myself. So then, I got into property quite young. So I managed to buy my first property at 18. And then from there, it just really snowballed where property just clicked, and I thought to myself, well, why aren't other people doing this? Because, once you buy into the right properties, once you have that cash flow, it's so easy to easily accumulate quite aggressively in a short time.
That's fantastic. And did you have money to pay for deposit at the age of 18?
I did. So basically the hardest part of the whole property journey for myself and pretty much for anyone is just getting the first deposit for the very first property. After that, if you source wisely, so for me, the first property I ever bought was actually quite a good property. So I had really good equity growth. And then I used something, what I call the snowball technique, which is where I use the equity to then buy into my next one. So then pretty much for all my properties, except for the first one, I've never placed a deposit. It's just all been equity. So
that's amazing.
Yeah,
So
it makes a big difference.
As of today, how many properties do you own?
As of today, I have 10 investment properties.
So 10 properties in 6 years, because the first one was 2018.
Yes. So 6 years, managed to buy 10 properties. I'm on the way to buying my 11th property, but right now I'm also focused on commercial property.
That's amazing. And so what innovation, marketing, branding strategy have you used to stand out in the highly competitive real estate market, especially being a young entrepreneur?
Yeah, so look, the property market is very much male dominated. So if you look at all the experts, look at who most of the buyers agents are kind of dominating the market currently, like they're all men between like mid 30s to late 50s. So obviously, you know, I stick out like a sore thumb. So I think for many people, it is refreshing that a young female has achieved what I have. And so it is, you know, very fresh for them. So like, I think many people see that as inspiring of, okay, well, if she can do all that by 24, well, then what's stopping me? So, you know, I definitely think that has helped in a lot of way, but in other ways, it has been quite a hurdle at times, but we'll get to that later. And then like, obviously, you know, the key for my business is that I give a lot of education. So like the thing is about business, it's like, it's not all about take. Like you also have to give people something, whether they are your current client or not, because they might be a client in the future. They just might not be ready to be your client now for whatever personal purposes. So I think those are the two key things, is that you can't just take, like you have to give as well.
Yes, definitely. You need to give lots of values to them that your competition can't.
Mm.
So how do you stay updated with everything? Latest the trends in the property market, about all of the tools to use, technologies, and any specific resources or practices that you would recommend to fellow entrepreneurs to keep up with all the updates and changes and technologies, AI?
Okay. Yeah. So like I do a lot of self-research, a lot of self-study. So like, you know, I'm an avid reader, you know, I'll read a lot of news articles. I'm always up to date with what's going on with every single RBA meeting. I think that's very, very important now, especially in the current interest rate market we are in. And then like on top of that, I'm always talking to other investors, you know, just to hear, because like obviously property is such a huge umbrella. I think many people don't realize that, like there's so many segments to the property investment industry, as well as like different types of properties. And then obviously like different types of markets. So as an example, the Perth market is different to say like the Sydney market, but you know, many people don't know that. So there is a lot to keep up to date with. But as a buyer's agent, because I'm sourcing properties all around Australia, which I feel not many buyer's agents actually do, most tend to specialize in a certain area or a certain type of property. So for me, I do residential and commercial nationwide, which I think that's very, very rare to get in a buyer's agent. But the reason why I do it is because I myself, on a personal level, I have residential and commercial property nationwide. So like, I think going back to the previous question, now that I think about it, a big point of difference for me is that, well, you know, I talk the talk, I walk the walk. Unfortunately, I see a lot of buyer's agents where when they start being a buyer's agent, they've only got 1 or 2 properties, and then they start the buyer's agency, they start to get a lot of cash flow from the business, and then that's when they get a big portfolio. Whereas for myself, I had the big portfolio before I became a buyer's agent. So I used all that experience to then give that onto my clients. I didn't really use my clients as a guinea pig per se to see what works and what doesn't work before buying my own portfolio. And then for the last question you asked, sorry, I'm just going everywhere now.
I just want to make a comment on that one. The one thing that I always tell to all my clients, that you should be product of your product.
Exactly.
Because a lot of people try to sell marketing and things, and then you look at their website, it's just horrible. Like if you try to sell website services, like why would you go and, you know, like your website is so bad. And that's something that's very important. So your success is actually proof to everyone that I can help you. Exactly. That's a very good point.
And plus, like, I think it's crucial for anyone that's a property investor, not necessarily a buyer's agent, but just anyone that's in the property industry. Like, you need to keep up to date with what's going on, especially if you're an interstate investor, because so many things are happening. Obviously, you know, it's like if a government were to change like a form of legislation, or like if they were to announce some type of infrastructure, like you need to be on top of what's going on. You know, how much is it going to cost? When is it going to happen? Because that could potentially impact your portfolio. And so when I deal with clients, like, sure, I might be sourcing them one particular property, but if they already have an existing portfolio, I think about it from an entire portfolio point of view, which I think that's a common mistake people make, is that they might buy great individual investments, but those investments as part of a general portfolio, you know, it might be very concentrated risk, or like, it might not work together, or, from like a cash flow point of view, it might be, as an example, very cash flow rich, but equity poor, or vice versa. So there's so many factors that people need to think of, which I feel, unless you've been doing it a while, or like, unless like you're constantly doing on the daily, people overlook so many things. So that's why I think it's so important to have a professional that's in your corner, whether that's a buyer's agent, or like, some type of property coach, whatever, but just for someone to be
Do we have such
your
a thing like
guide.
a property coach? Is that such a thing like property coach? I never heard of it.
Yeah. Well, like I do property coaching as well. So like I have clients who either might be a lot more advanced, or like they might not just be ready to buy into property yet, but they need that guidance in order for them to either get into the market or actually go to the next level. Because with a buyer's agency, that's very much a done for you service.
Yeah.
Some people might, love that, or like they might need that, but there are other people who might not need a done for you, are happy to do it themselves, but they just need that guidance.
Do with you.
Yeah.
Do it with you.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. What about talk about AI? So we know that the AI 2024 is going to be a big thing. Everyone talking about it, about how you could actually leverage AI in your business. Have you tried anything? What's your thought on that?
Look, I find AI very interesting. I definitely think it's more towards innovative approach to property, and like to, of course, being a buyer's agent. I'm very open to AI. I think it can achieve wonderful things. So I'm in the process of looking into that further, see how can AI actually help my business, how can it actually help like the research and the analytical side when it comes to property investing. But obviously, I have my doubts in terms of certain things about it. I mean, like at the end of the day, like how can I guarantee, is it going to be accurate? Like would I constantly need to do like 4-eyed checks? So obviously, that's something that I'm just looking into right now. But at the end of the day, whilst I know AI can definitely help my business and potentially help the property industry further, like what I value and what a lot of my clients value is just the very like personal approaches I have in terms of presenting a property, explaining, okay, well, why I think like this is a great investment for them, and just going through all of the numbers like that. So I'm a big advocate when it comes to efficiency, but there are certain things, especially in my business, where yes, I could make it a lot more efficient, but then I might lose the personal side of that particular part of the business.
You need to use AI on top of using the human. So I guess they combine together, they make a great team.
Yeah.
That's what I found about it.
Yeah.
So
we're looking into it.
That's good. So in terms of the challenges and overcoming them, what was the biggest challenges that you faced in your career so far? How did you overcome it, especially starting at a very young age?
Yeah, so there's been quite a few. I don't know where to begin.
The most challenging one?
I think it was when I started my business. I was doing seminars, I was doing webinars, and for some people, unfortunately, it doesn't matter what you've achieved. As soon as they hear your age, they think, okay, well, she doesn't have enough experience to actually, help me or actually do it for me, which isn't necessarily the case. Because
that's right.
When I was in banking, I mean, again, like I had that very similar issue. It was just a lot more magnified, where I would try to apply for certain roles or like certain types of promotions. And, even though I had great stats, like in terms of like my scorecard, everything was great, I would be overlooked because of how young I was. So like, I feel that my age has always been a hurdle. Like it's both a blessing and a curse at the exact same time. It's just, it really depends how I choose to make use of that. So yeah, my age has always been a hurdle. But like, I know that in banking, especially when I started my business banking part of the career, a lot of clients again would be skeptical. It's like, oh, how old are you? Like that was probably the most common question that I always got asked.
I know your business. It's a very personal question you're asking.
Yeah. So like, if I could tell that they were very skeptical about it, I'd just say that I was older than what I was. If it was a client, which like they were just curious, but they didn't really care like how old I was, as long as I got the job done, well then, I'd tell them my age. So yeah.
And I think your heart probably start racing fast when someone asks that question. Oh no. Just crossing your finger before each meeting.
Yeah.
What are you gonna ask that question?
Yeah.
So how did you overcome that challenge and fear, and did you use any method to basically try to overcome that, or have you done anything?
Look, at first I was just trying to make myself look older. So like I'd like dress older, you know, I'd wear glasses at first. At first.
I can see that you're still wearing glasses.
Yeah. But like I chose
Yeah.
not to wear them. But then like later down the track, you know, once I actually understood what I've actually done is actually very impressive for someone my age. I thought to myself, why am I trying to hide my age? Like that's the most unique part of what I've actually done. So like now I just fully kind of embrace that, and like I just openly tell people my age, and if they have a problem with it, like just talk to me about it. And like if it is a problem, why? Because if you want to grow your wealth or to build a property portfolio aggressively, then who better to go to someone who's done it in a short amount of time,
exactly,
in various market conditions.
Yeah.
So like, you know, I've been through pre-COVID, COVID, post-COVID, and then now with like a decade high cash rate.
Exactly.
So like I've been through various cycles in such a short amount of time as well. So
so you need to use that as your advantage,
Yeah.
to be honest. Like I was coaching the other client the other day, and then she did mention that, oh, but I don't have like 10, 20 years of the coaching experience and stuff, but I constantly read books, go to workshops. And I was like, do you prefer to work with someone that constantly educate themselves to be on top of the industry, for even if that's just been doing that for like a year, versus with someone they haven't read a book like in 10 years and they try to use the old technologies and method and everything? Which one do you prefer to do business with? And I say, oh, I prefer to do business with someone that's on top of the whole trends and everything, that someone's up to date but have more experience. So you need to look at it that way. Like even though that experience is only for 6 years, but you had tremendous success, that it could be used, you know, and then you're constantly updating yourself. I think you're ahead of a lot of buyer agent that they've been doing that for 50 years. And they're still using the 50 years old method and the software and everything they've been using.
Yeah, but like I think it's a big point of difference is that most buyers agents that I know or that I see on social media, they don't really have a finance or banking background, whereas I do. And so, you know, when I was in small business, I mean, like I won quite a few awards. So I got titled like the #1 business banker for New South Wales in like FY21.
Do you have that on your social media? Those certificates and awards and everything?
Look, I have it somewhere. I think it's on my website.
It's very important. Like you go to your Instagram page and pin it. It's right on the top.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yes, definitely make a difference.
But
no, that's amazing.
So like it's just, you know, I've learned so much because like obviously when I was in banking, I did, you know, different sets of roles, but I was the frontline person where I was collecting all the information. I was writing all of the loans. I was doing home loans. I was doing commercial loans. I was doing asset finance, you know, completely. And like you deal with different types of businesses, different types of investors. And unfortunately, just based on my experience, because I've seen thousands of contracts and thousands of properties, and I would say 95% of the properties that I wrote loans for were for terrible investments. Like most people, even people with money or like people who have been doing it quite a long time, unfortunately, sometimes make bad or poor investment choices. So so that was actually one of the things that fueled me to actually start my business was because I knew what the misconceptions were. I knew what the common investment mistakes were. So then I rolled that into a business. So like I do property education as well. So like I have courses, you know, which is more of a DIY form of like trying to get your foot into the market. So like that's how I originally started the business, is that I took all the misconceptions, everything that I knew was wrong that people were doing, and then I formed a business out of that.
That's amazing. So in terms of the personal branding, have you leveraged the personal branding to enhance your career? And if so, what tips can you give the young entrepreneurs looking to build a brand? Because I know that you do a lot of events, and workshops, seminars, webinars, and that's kind of the personal branding. So do you think that helped with your personal branding, or what else did help?
So I think at first, you know, as I said earlier, I hid behind a lot of what I thought were things I shouldn't be saying, but were actually assets. So obviously like my age was a big one, where at first I was hiding behind a lot of like the golden nuggets. But in the past 6-12 months, I've really vamped up and really focused on on our personal branding, because I slowly started to realize it's like, okay, well, all the successful buyers agents out there, like, what are they doing in order to get all of these clients, even though like their skill set may not be the best of the business. And it all came down to personal branding. So like, that's what I've really honed in, because I've put so much focus onto the operations of the business, onto my skill set, onto all of that, because I was so focused on, really giving really good service, or like, a really good product, that I at first neglected to actually think about the marketing side, about the personal branding side. So that's a big focus for me now. So, as you know, like, I go to a lot of networking events. I always love to talk to other professionals in my industry, but also like surrounding it. So like, I speak to a lot of different types of accountants, to solicitors, to financial planners, because you also learn from them. So right. So it's very important to actually be, a big part of the industry in multiple ways, not just from a property investment point of view.
Yeah, the importance of the personal branding.
Yeah.
Everyone knows about that. And then after a while, you decide you want to sell the business or do something else. Your personal branding always carries.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Start a
exactly.
business, and then literally you're gonna have like thousands of followers.
Yeah.
Because that's carried with you and your success. So is it gonna be one of the goals for 2024 that focus a little bit more on content writing and making, enhancing that personal branding?
Of course, because I see so much value in giving content and in educating people on our social media as well as in person, that I definitely want to make that my focus this year. Because, at first I was just doing it, just to help people, but then I really understood the impact that it actually makes. So that's going to be a key focus. And then I really want to do seminars again, because I really, really loved those, because at the start of last year, I was pumping out a lot of those, and then I put those on pause because my business was growing quite a lot, and I wanted to focus a lot more on like the operations and like the efficiency side of things and whatnot. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting back into seminars, even doing educational podcasts around like first home buyers, how can you get into the market? Because I feel a lot of people stop themselves because they don't know what to do next.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's right.
like that's a big issue. And especially for first home buyers, like they have so much opportunity to get their foot into the market with minimal savings now. So I feel first home buyers should be taking a lot more advantage of those schemes and like of those opportunities now, because they could not be there forever. But again, like that's a story for another day.
Yeah, no worries. Success metrics. So what metrics or indicators do you use to measure your success and growth in your profession?
Yeah, so for my business specifically, LTV, which is lifetime value, is a big focus for me, because obviously a person comes to me, they want to be my client, they want me to source a property for them, that's great. But when it comes to property investing, it's about the portfolio. So it's like, okay, I might source them one particular property, but I actually want to be part of their portfolio growth and their portfolio journey. So LTV is a really big focus when it comes to my business, because I want them to keep coming back to me so I can help them grow their portfolio. Yes. I think that's the main consideration when it comes to metrics for my business right now.
It's amazing. I'm gonna finish it with the last question.
Yeah, good.
So what advice would you give to entrepreneurs, especially those are that young and they have limited belief like you used to? I'm too young, I can't do it, the people are gonna judge it. And they want to start out, but that limited belief is stopping them from taking that action. What would be your advice? Especially if it's in a competitive field as well, that they have a lot of competition. And
yeah. Okay, so first things first is, when it comes to entrepreneurs, right, I'm not trying to push forward my particular business or a particular product, but something that I learned in banking is the importance of owning property. And the reason why I say that is because property as an investment asset class gives you what many other asset classes can't, and that's leverage. So when it comes to leverage, you can use equity for different purposes. So, if you have a property and then it grows in equity, you can cash that out as an example to put into the business, or perhaps you could use it to buy into another property. But the point is that having the ability to actually use leverage, even if you want to put that into your business, it gives you an element of freedom. So I think one point of advice I have for entrepreneurs,
very, very inspiring advice about how you're looking at it.
Yeah.
You try to build your portfolio of the properties, so to create that financial freedom, so you're able to build a business, whatever
Exactly.
it is.
Yeah.
So you're looking at it. Okay, that's very interesting.
Yeah. So one of my advices for young entrepreneurs or just entrepreneurs in our general is that if you have property and you have the ability to leverage that, if something happens in your business, like you have a plan B. And then if you need like some extra cash to actually grow your business, like you can then get an equity cash out. And, so like, I just think property is very, very important from different aspects, even though your intention may not to be a full-blown property investor. I just think it's important for everyone to have property that's outside of the property that they live in. In terms of general advice, now I'm just the type of person where I just don't care what people say. Like if there's something that I want to do, if there's something that I particularly believe in or like really want to push forward with, like people will always have something to say.
Yes.
Like that. And
I agree.
and it's always the type of people that either aren't doing anything or are doing less than you, or they don't have a successful business, or like they don't know what they want to do. So like they have to pull on something. And like I've had so many people, even when I started my property journey, when I wanted to buy the second one, like I literally got told, oh, like, what do you want to get into more debt for? Like, just work hard to pay off your very first property. And if I'd listened to them, I wouldn't have 10 properties.
Yes.
So,
exactly.
so I think selective listening is very, very important, where like hear everything, but choose what you want to listen to. So
Yeah.
I know that goes against the grain of like a common, I guess, word of advice, which like other people give, which is like, oh, well, when you're starting out, it's like, make sure that like you listen to absolutely everything. It's like, well, if you do that, like you're going to be pulled in like different directions. Like, it's like, well, what's right?
And
what's wrong?
because they're always going to be negative people.
Yeah,
Everywhere
exactly.
are going to tell you can't do it, you're too young, you're inexperienced, you need to fire all of them, not listen to them.
Yeah, exactly. So selective listening is I think a big
It's
thing.
the lesson of today's podcast.
Yeah, selective listening.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. Thank you so much
No,
for
good.
sharing your experience and journey with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks everyone, and we'll see you in the next episode. Cheers. Bye.